walking into an audition room doesn't have to be terrifying or scary. It can be powerful and rewarding. We're going to talk about it today.
Acting Class Weekly with legendary character actor Sean Whalen. Lessons, tips, and insight into the craft and business of acting from a man who's been directed by the likes of Spielberg, Eastwood, Tim Burton, Ang Lee, Michael Bay, Wes Craven, Tom Hanks, and many more of Hollywood's A-list. He is 30 years an actor and your professor, Sean Whalen.
Now, the most important issue we have to talk about today, the return of the blue jacket.
Return of the jacket once again.
But here's my question: has it ruined the specialness of the jacket? See, this is a work in progress for me. The blue jacket. How often should it be a surprise? Should it come? You were leaning towards more like if the bar is raised so high with the blue jacket, everyone feels it feels a little less than with the blue jacket.
But the truth is, there's so many things you can do under the blue jacket to make the blue jacket a different outfit, you know?
But then if I wear it to, it was kind of my premiere like Hollywood party thing, then it starts to feel like my podcast jacket, which defines it differently.
So
Does that make sense?
This,
you know what I mean?
This isn't as important as a premiere to you? Or?
It's not that. It's just the regularity of the I'm an actor. I study behavior, and you seem offended.
What gave it away?
What gave it away? The snarky or the rolling of the eyes? I don't know. I'm excited by it, but of course I had to wear it today because underneath is a reddish shirt and a little bit of whitish pants
and the blue socks.
It's I know this is an evergreen show. I'm getting smart. But it's July 3rd and tomorrow's July 4th. But I'm not alone. Roxy is rocking some very patriotic pants as well.
I don't know if I could, because it's a dual leg situation. I don't really know how to show the people.
Yeah.
So like this is one of the legs.
Right.
And then the other leg
is the star. But it's stars and stripes.
You get that, Jeff?
One leg stars, one leg stripes.
Guys, I've never been more impressed by a joke in my life.
Okay. Thank you.
There was a joke that I missed. Did I miss a joke?
I think we are the joke.
Oh, we're the joke.
Yeah, we're the joke.
I will cop to being the joke this week.
Okay.
How's that?
We're all the joke.
He's always so political, and I was trying to keep this apolitical, Chef. So anyway, we are going to talk about auditioning. It's really hard, and here's why. It is not how you will ever work on a set. It's not how you will ever work on a stage in theater. It's a complete anomaly. If you were doing a scrimmage to try out for a basketball team, that makes the most sense. Just like someone sees you in a scene night or something like that. But auditioning is so weird. It's such a specific craft. And so that's why it unnerves people. There's very famous people who says, I will not audition. And I understand why, and that's why it freaks people out. But I'm going to give you tips today to help you feel confident in that very specific process of getting work in acting.
Because if you are not a very famous person who probably had to audition at some point, you can't just say, I'm not going to be an auditioning person.
Right, yeah. I'll meet with you, but I won't read. Yeah. We all have to jump through that hoop. And to help me discuss this, as always, is Miss Patriotic Phenomenal this week. And
phenomenally patriotic.
Roxy Striar.
That's she. I am her.
And the old glory of producing, Mr. Funtabulous, Jeff Graham in the booth. So we are...
Old glory is quite...
I'm trying to, you know what I mean? I was trying to come up... Because I did a patriotic thing for you, and then I figured I tried to...
I know, but you missed his note. And that's why. So
J-Lo, oh, okay. All right. Well, I totally did. Sorry about that.
Inside baseball.
Inside baseball. All right. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. But before we do, we always do 1, 2, 3. Sean's Week. And he's not in the booth.
But he doesn't know.
Yeah, he doesn't know. It was the best one we've ever done.
Do we tell him later?
I think he has to... No, because you know what? It's going to only get better.
Yeah.
And so this is a step in the right direction.
Practice makes permanent.
But what I love is that it was just a look in the eyes. We've done it enough. We can finish each other's, Sean's weak
Sandwiches?
sentences.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were so close.
Whatever.
It was happening.
Only
and then
if
it just
there's
fell
no
apart.
cheese on it. 'cause-
Only if there's no cheese.
All right.
All right, so my week. Okay, so couple things happened. I went out of town and I went to a horror convention.
Yeah, you did a good job.
convention.
No, it was clear. It was clear.
Okay, thank you. And that's where I meet horror fans because I did a movie called People Under the Stairs.
That was not as good of a
That
job.
was not as good as that
you
first one.
ditched the enunciation. That's where I meet my bunch of horror fans.
That's where I meet my horror fans. But anyway, I meet them because I did a movie called People Under the Stairs several years ago. People still love it, as well as other things. A lot of people know Twister and Never Been Kissed, and
Why are you surprised by that?
Because it's a horror convention.
Yeah, but you don't think horror movie fans would know Twister?
Yeah, no, I guess they do, but sometimes instead of coming over and buying some of my horror stuff, they'll only buy the Twister stuff, that's a little bit different.
Interesting.
But it was great, but the promoters got a little shady. I'm not going to get too into detail, but treating the guests, the people who were there, a little shady. And it's one of my friends specifically, and she stood up for
Treated one of your
hers.
friends specifically shady?
Yeah. And she stood up for herself. And
Your friend who was there in your position, or was there as a
in
fan?
my position, yeah. And we stood up to them, and luckily, because we had prepared what we were going to say, or she prepared what she was going to say, and felt very strongly about what she was doing. They heard her. They made it right. First was apologizing, but it was me who actually said, well, we're not friends. This is a business. So, if you burn my steak in a restaurant, you come over and go, sorry, no, you buy me a drink, you buy dessert, you make it right in a business. So they did, and it was wonderful fans, and it was really, really great. And then...
What do you do in that situation, though, Sean? Because if it happens at a restaurant and the steak's burnt so badly, even if they do make it right, you probably don't go back and eat there again.
Well, the hard thing is there's so many... The different factions are, what if you love their... potatoes or something maybe the venue, maybe some things about the running of it, but the fans were so great, and I don't go to this area very often, and so people.
That's such a bummer.
I loved. Yeah, it was a bummer, but it did get worked out. I personally had a great show. There were some glitches for me personally, but it was really bad for my friend. But we made it work. We made it work. We made it right. And for me, yes, I would go back. Lot more prepared, caveats in place, things that I demand, on that end of it, so I can, because the fans were fantastic. They were just so great. The vibe of it was really nice. In spite of all that, is what I guess I'm saying. So it would be me just being a little more prepared up front and being more specific about demands and how to be taken care of. But yeah, I think I would, and especially if my manager was handling it. She would be more of a pit bull because she was there. She learned a lot, and she would be more of a pit bull next time to make sure. And then, but unfortunately, there was a movie I was going to do. I think I'd spoken about it on the show. Someone had seen me in another horror movie and asked me to be the lead in this vampire movie, and we had set days and price and everything like that, and then I come back to find out that it was a lot like a third of what they said it was, and more days, less
price,
money.
you mean?
Yeah. And there's just, because of all the other things I do, there's just an amount now that it just makes no sense for me to walk out of the house,
Because had they lied to you, or they didn't know?
They said... No, they said, this was it. This is how much. These is how many days. That's the last I heard a few weeks ago. When I landed back in town, they said, we got to close this today. And I said, well, same deal, right? And they went, actually, it's the third and more days. More days work, less money. And I thought... So
they didn't say, we're so sorry, funding fell through. Wow.
Well, no, they did say, yeah, we had to take a pay cut and blah, 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 blah. But the thing was, you lead with that.
Right.
You lead with that and say, hey, we want to talk to you about there. And then there's the things that you have to think about, guys, when you do this profession. It's the 2 weeks before my daughter leaves for college. And those are the 2 weeks I have my daughter in my life before she leaves to college. So if work comes along, it has to be worth it.
Mm-hmm.
There has, and the thing that sucks is I really wanted the role, but literally I would lose a ton of money and lose time with my daughter, and I have to have the courage to go. I can't, you know?
What did your representation say?
Totally agreed.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Not even a pushback by any degrees, and it was a friend of mine that was like kind of a go-between, and she was like, it's totally fine, I get it. But it's just the trust gets broken when that's not even, I think, okay, great, let's do this. Oh, but by the way, and they didn't even volunteer it. I had to ask, and everything's all the same, right? Well, do you know what I mean?
Sounds like you were dealing with some shady people this week.
Yeah. There was things that were disappointing, but I think it's just choices in this business that like we talk about so much, Roxy, that like it's how you do things. It's not that you're doing them, it's how you do them that sometimes, because it's such a personal business and our personal time and our craft, that if they treat you in a certain way, it's more important than the work itself sometimes, which
100%.
sucks. So that was my week. So it kind of dovetails into what we're doing today is, know what you're doing and be prepared, because you don't know what's going to happen and how are you going to handle it when, the audition room is different than what you thought. So we'll get into those kind of things today, flexibility and things like that.
Great.
But before we do that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I'm wondering, is there anything I should know about AfterBuzz?
You know what? There is so much you should know about AfterBuzz.
Like what?
Well, first of all, the fact that we provide all of this amazing content to you guys for free. And here is what we are asking for in return. If you love the show Acting Class Weekly, or any of our number of after shows, whether it's on our reality channel, sci-fi, fantasy, wherever it is that you love us, that you give us a 5-star rating and a thumbs up. That's on iTunes, YouTube. Subscribe, comment. We love hearing from you guys. On this show specifically, we read everything you guys have to say. And if we have time for it towards the end of the show, I actually want to give a couple of shout outs to people, because we want to know what you guys want to hear about Acting Class Weekly. What are you curious about? Is it about headshot, resume, reel, representation, auditioning, booking a sitcom versus a drama, how you should do those differently? Anything that you guys want to know, we want to talk about it. So that's where the commenting comes in. And then the rating and subscribing, it actually boosts our views and it makes more people able to find us. So that really helps the show out. So if you are looking to give us a hand, that's how you could do it. We know that you guys love us as much as we love you. So we would really appreciate that 5-star. And that's what you need to know about AfterBuzz, Sean.
Yes, that's what I needed to know.
Informative?
Very informative.
Did you miss our theme music?
A little bit.
I missed our theme music.
A little
too.
bit. There's just a twinkle in your eye when you have it. Not that you don't have a twinkle.
In my eye.
Oh, can I say twinklerer? More twinkle?
Can I tell you? You
say.
could say it, but that doesn't mean I'd understand what you said.
No, at all.
Did you say twinklerer?
Twinkler-ish. No, that's less than, right?
So I don't even...
More twinkle.
I am so not on the same page. I don't even know what you're trying to...
What I'm trying to say is you always have a twinkle, but when the music's there, you have more of a twinkle.
I thought you were saying today I'm more twinklier.
No, I'm saying because when you have the music, there's a little more of a twinkle. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Yeah.
See, guys, we can understand her behavior, just how she's behaving as an acting class. There you go. There's an acting class right there, and it's not happy.
I'm giving 2 of these quickly. I'll do more every week to come, but I love a couple of these. This one from actually this week from McMurray 110. He calls this not just for actors. He gives us 5 stars. He says, I have no serious plans to become an actor, but I still enjoy this show. I have many friends who are producers, writers, directors, actors, etc., and I find the behind-the-scenes stuff interesting. Sean Whalen and Roxy Striar provide great advice for actors, but it's also a good look at the process behind movies and TV shows. So we really appreciate that, McMurray 110. Also coming from Jake the Big Snake 6996123.
Wow.
This he says best podcast out there, 5 stars. I look forward to every week when this comes out. It's my absolute favorite, and I learned so much. So those are the 2 shout outs this week, but I'll continue to give more because there are a bunch more, and we see you guys and really appreciate you.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate that. But let's talk about this, because this has actually something in terms of maybe not specifically, but even, interviews, if you have a job interviews, you can take some of the stuff that we have today. Certainly not preparing a monologue from Shakespeare, but there may be some tips in there that you could use in your daily life for any kind of interviews. So let's jump in. Firstly, please, please, please don't listen to this one until you've listened to Preparing for an Audition and The Waiting Room. They are sequential. If you want to learn about just the room, but it's really good to do this is the third in a series of our audition series. So please make sure you do this. Another caveat for this one. This is specifically for a pre-read, or is what it's called as on tape for producers. The reason I'm doing this one, we will do one auditioning for theater, we will do one auditioning for producers or callbacks, but this is specifically because this is like 90% of what is happening in Hollywood.
Sean, can you define what a pre-read is?
Pre-read means that you are going in, meeting with the casting director. They're putting you on tape, and the casting director will decide if you're moving forward to meet the producers or going to another level. A lot of times now they're doing a thing which is called on tape for producers. You go in a room, there's someone there, maybe a couple people reading with you, and they're going to take that tape and send it to the producers. If we're talking about independent movies or student films, you're going to probably walk in there and you're going to have someone reading, the casting director, and probably the director if it's a small movie, and they're going to be sitting right there. But either way, all those scenarios will have 1, 2, 3 people and a camera, and this covers all of that.
Great.
Okay, so when you're heading in, Roxy was very specific about when we're transitioning from the room outside to the inside, and we were talking about the headshot, right?
It's a big moment,
It's
too.
a big moment. They come out, they call your name. Very simply, confidently, calmly. I have my headshot. Do you need it? They're going to tell you very quickly, no, we're good. Or, yeah, thank you. That's it. Don't make it a crazy moment. Have it sitting out with you, ready to go.
And this is a different episode, Sean, but is your resume on the back of your headshot?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, but you just say, do you need it? They say yes or no. Put it down or don't. Don't make it more of a big moment. Well, I got some new stuff on there that I want to... No, just yes or no. Fine. Move on, okay? Whoever walks you out, it may be just the casting. Maybe the casting director only is there, and that casting director is going to bring you in the room and tape you. Maybe the casting director is going to bring you in the room to meet her and the director. Or a lot of times it's an assistant who is just doing the on tape for the producers. Whoever walks you in or is walking down that hallway or walking into that room, please be pleasant. Please be, hi, how you doing? How's your day going? How you doing? You feel good? And if sometimes I'll go, are they, if it's like director, I go, is he horrible? Is he just the meanest guy? And they'll laugh, have fun, be nice to that person. That person's going to remember that when they're casting, they're going to say, oh, but he was really nice, or she was really great.
And also, Sean, speaking cynically, I love that you just said that, because you should be nice to everybody in life, because why not?
Course.
But even if you're somebody who doesn't believe in that philosophy, it's harder to book the gig if you're not.
Exactly.
So if you're not nice to that person, they're going to inform somebody of that.
Absolutely. And then we're going to carry that into when you walk into the room. Your demeanor, and this is why it's important. So I always tell my students every day, just say to whoever's in there, hi, how you guys doing? How are you? How's your day going? Guess how many people care about them? Nobody, because it's all about us. And they would love to say, oh, it's great, but the air conditioning's broke. And then hear that, and like we talked about in our networking, say, oh my God, that must be really hot for you. I'm so sorry. I'm going to be getting into my air-conditioned car, and you're going to be stuck in here. Sorry. If it's a comedy, if you're having fun, I'll go over that in a second. If it's a normal audition, these are dramedies, regular shows, nothing too deeply dramatic or deeply comedic. I just say they're people. They want to be acknowledged. Just be pleasant. This is the first moment when you walk into the room. That's
and Sean,
all I'm saying.
Is this while you're putting your bag down? Do you go over and shake their hand? Or
No. Don't shake hands. Don't shake hands. That used to be a thing, and now it's just not. You know, people
Howie Mandel X'd that. Don't
that
touch
a
my
long
hand.
time ago.
Yeah.
People do not shake hands. Obviously, no hugs. You know, anything like that. Now, I have hopefully the casting director that we're going to be having in here either next week or the next week after. I've been seeing her for 25 years, and yes, she would give me a hug. We're friends. You know, friends on Facebook and stuff like that. But only if you know them so well and you know it's okay, they initiate anything. But just say hello. How are they doing? Right. And usually I'm a guy, so I don't know about bringing the bag in the room. I would usually leave it outside, but then only if you feel trusting, right?
From what I have been told and what I've done, I don't leave my bag outside anymore. Too many horror stories if there's a lot of people. If there's one or two people, maybe not. But if you're sitting there and there's way more than that, then I bring my bag in, and the first thing I do is put it at the door.
Perfect.
Just right next to the door.
This is great information for,
people with purses.
Yeah, people who
or
carry
backpack
purses.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I would say in a normal audition. Be just pleasant and then get ready. If it's a comedy, guys, have some fun. Comedies are fun. When we talk about, we were going to do a class about auditioning for comedies specifically, have fun. Tell me a show where a comedy movie or a comedy sitcom where you go, those people are miserable. Mm-hmm. You don't. They're fun. They're funny. All the interviews. They're all fun, funny people. If you can say something funny, I went on an audition. There was all these great-looking guys. I had to come in early, so it was out of sequence. So they were auditioning the really handsome guys with white shirts and black pants, and I had to come in early because I booked something later, and they understood and shoved me in this category. And I was like this, dorky neighbor or something like that. But I walked in the room. This was a producer session, so there's more people. But I just said, listen, guys, I have my white shirt and black pants in the car, but if I put it on, I'm going to get a lot of guys very upset. And they all laughed and thought it was funny. Do you know what I mean? And it shows. And so that's really good. And if you're doing a very heavy drama, it's really hard if you're in the zone. Sometimes when you see these waiting rooms and you're doing like a scene about a father at his daughter's 5-year-old daughter's funeral, no one's talking to anybody. Everyone's very deep into their stuff. So when you walk in, you can still be pleasant. Just stay in your acting zone. You have to be in a deeper place, but you can say, hi, nice to see you and stuff. And so save your super pleasantries till when it's over. That's the difference if it's a very deep
and then
drama.
Snap out of it real quick.
Yeah, you can. When you're done, I mean, a lot of times you're either crying or whatever, and you wipe your eyes and you're like, "Whoo!" Like I'll always say, "Oh, there's a nap in my future," you know what I mean, or something to loosen it up after. But even if you can't do that and it's really heavy, you can still be pleasant, but they're not going to hold it against you because they know what you're going through right now emotionally to be prepared for the scene. So why is this important? Because you're not auditioning. You're auditioning for two things. One, your craft, to show how good you are, to show how you understand the material and how you can bring it forth and make their story better. And the other thing is, do I want to work with this guy? Are they nice, pleasant, decent people who I want to see on the set? I think it was Tina Fey who said, only hire people that you can see in the hallway at 3 a.m. in the morning. And so you're auditioning for both. So you're auditioning yourself as a person and the craft.
Right.
So it's really, really important. If you can, right when you get in there, if you can say something, if it's a script or a movie, you can say something specific. Again, read the room. I'm giving these tips, but you have to read the room. If they're rushing, then don't wedge these things in there. But if it feels right and it feels organic, you can say, oh, I love the script, especially, and pick a specific scene that is not going to say, if it's about a girl who wins a championship, you go, oh, especially when she won the championship. You can say, oh, I just love that scene with her and her dad before the first competition. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shows that you read it.
And you're saying do that afterwards?
No, right at the beginning. If you can, again, feel it out. Feel out the room, feel out the vibe. But if you can, it's just a little way to show that you enjoy the project and that you actually did read it and aren't blowing smoke.
Right.
So that's really good. That is something that will show that you're a professional, you're someone who's pleasant to work with, and you know the material. Sets you up for it's a good place to be when you start your audition. I get it all the time, and this is what you want to hear. Oh, Sean Whalen, we love him. That's what you want to hear. That's what you want to hear. That you want to get that feedback. Takes maybe 3 to 5 years to get that. But if you do that consistently, then they go, oh, yeah, let's bring in Sean. We love him. Now, they don't love me, but that's Hollywood speak. That's Hollywood speak too. It's always going to be nice to see him, and he's always going to do good work. So that's what you're shooting for. So that
reliable,
friendly,
fun, nice.
Reliable, nice. So that's what you're shooting for. Secondly, now it's time to get down to work, right? So this is said many ways, and we have to be specific. It's take control of the room. Now, if you've heard what I've said before, you're collaborating with this casting director to both do a good audition. Listen to the other one. We talk about why that's important and what they're looking for as well. They want you to do a good job. You want to do a good job, so work together. So taking control of the room. The first thing you want to do is survey the space. You don't see it. You don't even get to walk in. A lot of places where you work, you get to, like if you're getting a job at a grocery store, you get to see where you're going to work, walk around. So you don't get any of that. You walk in.
No lay of the land.
You know lay of the land. So take a second to look around the room, see what's there. Let's say you have prepared for a scene where the first scene you're standing, the second scene you're sitting, right? But you don't see a chair, and you could say, hey, and again, calmly, confidently say, hey, I wanted to stand in the first scene and sit in the second scene. Is that okay? And they, oh, great. Sorry, we just moved the chair. It's right here. And they will do that between the scenes. Or sit in the first scene, or sit all the time. Or, because I remember doing a scene where I was like a presidential candidate or whatever, and I was standing at a podium. And I walked in, and there was only a chair. So the next part is, I said, well, do you mind if I stand for this? And they said, you know what? Our camera is set up so specifically on this desk, everybody's just been sitting. And you know what you say? Okay.
Do you have to have rehearsed for both of those, Sean, then, just in case? Do you try to do one run through at least standing?
I'd like to when I'm preparing, just in case. I just worked with a guy today where he had just coached somebody who had one specific character, another specific character, but they're very close and not a lot of lines each. And I said, that's what they told you to do, these two characters. But let's run one. If they just go, you know what, can you just read all their lines as one person? Because sometimes they do that. So we rehearse that just in case, just to be ready. So yeah, practice it standing, and then yeah, do a couple times sitting just in case. So again, we've talked about this. Prepare, be ready to make your choices, but you can't be locked and rigid.
Will they ever do, Sean, if it's a scene that you've gotten and it's a walk and talk scene, will they ever make you sit in a chair? Or can you pretty much assume?
It just depends on them and their space. Maybe they rented a place that they thought was bigger, and then they said, oh my God, we forgot that we rented it to someone else. You're in this tiny room that only has the desk and room for a small desk camera, and you sit on a chair. Okay. You know, you just don't know. When you have a physical comedy and they want to see you do the physical comedy, always ask, where's my frame? How big do I have? How much room do I have? And sometimes they'll offer it. Hey, and by the way, we want you to do all the physical comedy because this whole wall is yours. Play with it. Have a great time. So you're going to survey the land. You're going to figure out what the frame is. You're going to say, I'd like to do this. I'd like to stand for here. I'd like to stand for this. Sometimes if you're just doing some movement in the thing and it's very important, like maybe you're pacing, you can simply ask, and when they ask you, do you have any questions? Please ask your questions. Don't say, oh, well, I don't want to ask. It makes me look unprofessional. Absolutely false. You look unprofessional if you make an assumption that you could have taken care of easily and blow it.
What are other types of questions that you ask, Sean?
So sometimes I will say they will be reading through a scene and there's a big quiet moment, but they have the line before the quiet moment and after the quiet moment. And I'll say, oh, when you get to that page and there's that quiet moment, I kind of prepared something for that moment. So do you mind just giving me the space to do what I prepared that's quiet and before you say your next line?
To make sure that they don't.
To make sure yeah, and a lot of times they'll just rush through it and they'll go, oh, great, thank you. All of this shows, guys, if you collaborate and ask specific questions, it's not 90 questions. It's not 100 questions and saying, hey, can I scooch it this way? Can I just say, hey, can I sit or stand? And then you have to adjust. But what it does is show you prepared. You're making choices.
Do you ever ask questions about the character?
Sometimes you'll say another good question about the character. Let's say it's not on TV, and you don't know the tone of the show. And this director's a new director, so you can't research anything to show the tone of the show. You could say, so I'm assuming this is pretty broad, right? Because the writing is so. They go, you know what? Actually, it's grounded. It's a little more real. And you could say, hey, this person seems like the comic, wild guy. He's kind of like the big comic relief, right? Yeah, he is. So have fun with him. Again, ask questions that maybe engage them into talking a little bit more about the character so you can get more insight.
Do you ever ask a question you already know the answer to just so that you can get them kind of warmed up?
No, okay. I've never really done that. I just ask, honestly, questions that
whatever questions you have.
Yeah, like I'll just say, yeah. On that third part, this sign seems like it's a typo, right? And they go, yeah, that is a typo. Don't say it like that, blah, blah, blah. Again, it just shows you're looking at the material, you understand it, and you're trying to make it really good. So yeah, another one I always ask is, let's say we did one the other day when I coached you, entering the frame. Hey, can I walk in here? I had this great entrance for this comedy thing. It was so funny. I'm supposed to be carrying like my mother-in-law on my back, and you're supposed to run up to this guy at his wedding and go, hey, she broke her foot. Where's the. And so I said, ooh, can I run in? And she goes, you know what? I know it says that, but this camera's not great on movement, so it blurs. So can you just turn into it? And I took a second, took it in, and went, okay, great. Adjusted it, and then I just did a quick turn. Same energy, same everything. But entering and exiting frame, you should just make sure they know that you're going to do that. You don't just want to say, all right, we're going to do the scene, and then you just step out of frame for no reason. They want to know, just say, hey, I'd like to enter frame. Is that okay?
And would that be before?
This is all right before you've started working. You're clarifying your space.
If they ask you to state your name and you would do that,
and
then step out of frame.
Right. That's if you asked that. Say, hey, after the slate, when we start the scene, do you mind if I step into it?
Got it.
Does that make sense? So then what they're going to do more likely is do that slate. Is say,
so what does that look like?
A slate is you stand there, they say, hey, stand there and just give me your name, height, and role you're reading for. Or just give me your name. And then they'll pan up and down to see your size and something like that. So that is called a slate. And then you'll get ready to start your scene. And then again, if they ask you a question, you have any questions, be specific, answer the questions. So you're about to do your scene. You've done your slate. Guys, take the second you need. It's okay. And I always say this to my actors, and it looks good for you as an actor, and it looks great for the casting director, which is you look at them and say, can I take a second? And just take a second to breathe in this character. If he's in a swamp, breathe in that imagination that all of a sudden it's hot and sweaty. You're out in the evergreens and stuff. Is evergreens a swamp?
Sure.
It's not, is it?
No.
Like, wait, what is the word I'm thinking of? Isn't there a word like evergreenish for swamps? It's moss is what I think I'm thinking of.
But the evergreen.
What are those hanging vines?
Willows? Oh. Do
you know what I mean? When you're in a swamp scenes, you always see those people pushing aside the green.
Yeah.
What are those? What are those called?
Swamp. It's a swamp.
No, but the specific green things, aren't they called something?
Vines is what you're
Vines, I get? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
Forest?
But anyway, so evergreen.
Rainforest? I don't know either.
We're gone. Kilimanjaro? We're gone. All right. So anyway, Mars. All right, we're way off. All right. So now, but take that second to get into place, to get into character, believe your situation.
How long is too long?
You do not want to go longer than, I would say, I think 15 seconds would be kind of long enough.
You're milking it.
You're milking it a little bit. I think you can do it in 10. You can do it in 10 solid seconds. Shoot for 5.
Yeah, okay.
Shoot for 5. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000. And now that I say that, I would say 3, 1,000.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's fine. But if you're doing like that slow, then yeah, 5 to 10 seconds tops.
What about Mississippi's?
And push for 5s. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3, then 3 Mississippis too. No more than 3 Mississippis.
You have 3 1,000s or 3 Mississippis, but 5s if you're quickly,
right?
And 15 you're milking it, and 10 if you're barreling through.
Yeah.
And now we know.
Now we know. So take that second. Why is this good? Because it shows you are transitioning and getting into character, and B, I'm telling you, it just looks great. Casting directors love that because they know that people prepare. I saw this firsthand. I think I talked about it. Maybe I didn't, but Philip Seymour Hoffman on Twister. Every time we were about to do a scene, we'd all be hanging out, and he goes, all right, we're going to be rolling in a couple minutes. He would get up, he'd walk away, and he'd just start walking in a circle, walking in a circle, walking in a circle, and getting into this character. If you guys saw Twister Dusty, it was written as a surfer guy. He didn't do it as a surfer guy. He brought his own special thing to it, but he had to get into that character and take that moment. It shows that you're prepared. And like we just talked about, don't take too long because then it becomes annoying. All right, do your scene, live it truthfully as possible. When you're reading and you're reading with somebody, you always look at the person that is the person in the scene. If you have other people in the scene, you put them just slightly to the right or left, never way over here, never way over here,
So you shouldn't look at the reader like they are the person that they're reading for the whole time because you're saying other people.
No. Only if, let's say there's a scene with you and my 3 sisters, but you're the main one talking. I'm looking at you, and then couple of my sisters have a line. It would just be slightly looks next to you for them,
even though the reader's reading for them.
Yeah, if you know it's different people. But again, guys, slightly because of the camera. Even here, look at, if you're on YouTube and you're fortunate to see it on YouTube, me going over here as opposed to over here, it's a lot more drastic. So
I've never heard this one before.
Yeah, just slightly, because they always want to see your face, and more importantly, they want to see your eyes. Right. Everything happens in your eyes. So be confident, make your choices, and then when you're done the scene, they go, great, thank you. And before you move on to the next scene, or when you're done, you say with confidence, anything else? Now, this has been a big controversy for years. Oh, don't ask anything else. It looks desperate. And they're absolutely right. If you say it desperately, there's a difference between saying anything else I can do to get this job, please tell me, I really need it. If that's the subtext, yes. If you're going, anything else? Like, anything else I can do, please like me? That's not great. But if you say it as anything else, because I can take any of your adjustments, throw them at me, and I will adjust. You see the difference in that? It's not what you're saying.
And you're saying before you go on to the next scene, or that's you asking if you should even go on to the next scene?
No. They'll say, okay, let's go on to the next scene. And then you say, oh, great, thanks. Anything else with that one? Or, if it's that situation, I'll say, anything else with that one? No? Great. Take my moment, do the second scene. Or if it's just a 1-scene audition and they finish and they say, anything else? No? Great. So always ask it, but just ask it confidently. And no one's going to get offended if it's the attitude. And we've been talking, that's why it's so important to listen to all 3 of these, and that this is the 3rd one, because you're bringing in an attitude of confidence, and you're not above me. You are someone that I want to work with to do really well. It's a date, guys. It's a date. When you finish this audition, sometimes, believe it or not, casting directors don't know what they're talking about. They just don't. And sometimes you're smarter. But as actors, we always walk out and went, I did horrible. We always beat ourselves up. No, if you walked away from a bad date, you wouldn't say that.
I think it's the same as anything. It's not casting directors don't know that they're talking about. But, last car I bought, I was like, okay, I want a white 4-door car. And I left with a red 2-door car. Okay. Because I saw something else that I wanted more.
Right.
I went in and I thought I knew exactly what I wanted. And they showed me something else. And I was like, oh, I didn't want that. I want this one.
So are you equating yourself with the casting director?
Because if you show them something else and they like it better, then that's what they want.
Right.
So
but
they don't always know exactly. They might think they know what they want, and then you show them something different, and maybe that's what they want.
Yeah, or sometimes they are angry because they got a bad phone call about their kid at school, or their lunch is late. Or they said, you know, you're going to end 15 minutes early, and they ordered their lunch, and then they're going later, and they know it's going to be sitting in the restaurant cold, or whatever. You don't know. They're
They've got
human
stuff
beings.
going on, right.
They're human beings. So if it doesn't go well, like I said, a date, you wouldn't walk away from a blind date that didn't go well and go, it was my fault.
Right.
So it's the same way. You got to look at it as both of you. It's the situation, it's the material, it's all those things has to come together. All I'm asking you to do is take care of your side of the date table. And my student, Russell, who I'm going to bring in here to talk about coaching and how it's changed him, he always calls me up and goes, yeah, man, it was a good date. It was a good date. That's what he'll always say. And that's
in 2019, though, don't tell them that.
Yeah. True. It's the, you know,
It's
you
a
understand.
metaphor,
It's a metaphor,
people.
people. Metaphor, people. Come on now.
My coach told me that we're on a date right now.
Yeah. My coach said, yeah, we're on a date right now. I think I'm going to get a second date. What? I'm not. You know, yeah. Blackball, Sean Whalen.
Yeah.
All right. So it's really important to do anything else with how you say it. It's just so important. Now, they might say, so ask me anything else.
Anything else?
Yeah, could you do it again? And that whole section when you're talking about your kids, could you just be more excited and more hyper about that? The writer gave us a note that they changed that, and that's going to be really more important to her in the storyline. So could you just do it again and emphasize that? And what do you say?
Give me a second.
That's exactly right. Absolutely. Now, take that second to go through your script. They're not going to care. Again, if you do it quickly and precisely, say, can you give me a second? You go through your lines, see how you make the adjustments. Say, 1 quick second to prepare. Great. Because they just threw you a curveball, so that's all right. Or you can just say, sure. Think about your lines. Look down for a second. Okay, I got it. And then if they say, hey, can you do it like that? And you go, wait, isn't she, and if you have a question again about it, the adjustment she gave, just ask the question with confidence as if it was someone that's on your same level, not panicked or scared. Just say, yeah, but isn't that the part where they say, yeah, but they're actually cutting that last part. So oh, great, that makes sense. So just discuss it.
What if you say we? Isn't that the part where, and they look at you confused, like, no, just do what we asked, kind of thing.
I honestly have never had that.
Okay.
No, I've never really had that. I've had really bad direction. So if
you're unclear with what they're asking for you, kind of
just
go
clarify
around
it.
Yeah, just to be clear, you're asking me to.
Yep, absolutely. Just to be clear, again, don't make these into long debates. We're not asking you to get into huge discussions. Just have the confidence to talk to them like you would anyone else when you're trying to get something done. Okay, take a second to look over the script, as I said. And then here's what's always great, and you could do this at the beginning, too. Say something to show that you understand it, to clarify, to use a metaphor like we just said. So let's just say you're saying it's about a father who has to get rid of his favorite car, right? Because now they have to get the minivan because they're going to have a family, right? And you say, oh, my God, my uncle had to get rid of his fishing gear because his man cave because they were having a baby, kind of like that, right? And they go, yeah, absolutely like that. Do you see what I mean? Anything to show that you understand it.
But I liked how short and sweet that was, as opposed to, oh my God, my uncle who lives in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, quite the weather they've been having recently. He's actually owns a bar there. Not that that's relevant to the story.
Look,
but
this is the slippery slope of what I'm teaching today. I don't want you to think this is you having, oh, good, now I get to just talk and blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is I want to take you from deer in headlights terrified to comfortable and asking for what you need.
Which is a matter of a couple sentences.
Yeah. Big, not long. And that is really, really great to say, to show that you understand. So take the adjustments. My Russell today, I coached him today, and we did one. And he's one of these guys that's just got a very strong, loud voice. And so he was doing these guys yelling at this guy at the porch. So I said, you know what, just in case, let's do one if they say make it more normal, like you're not that far, just because his loud is probably louder than others. So we did one softer. And I threw him the adjustment. He did it great. And I said, great. So now we were ready for if the two characters merged, if they ask you to do it quieter. You know what I mean? We just had some adjustments ready in place. But never be freaked out by them. If you've studied, and you shouldn't be auditioning unless you've studied and know what you're doing.
Right.
Don't audition before you know what you're doing, guys. We talk about this all the time.
Is it smart to guess what adjustments they might have you make?
You can try a few, but you never know, because there's going to be a lot of times, like I said, writing changes that the director might have made the night before,
Right.
and said, hey, guess what? This guy that was going to be really dark and creepy is actually going to be kind of funny now. So if you could take that adjustment and make him a little goofier, especially in this section, great. Take your second, prepare for it, do it. So we're telling you to talk. We're telling you to prepare. We're not telling you to sit quietly in a corner for a half an hour to prepare, and we're not telling you to have a big monologue. I know we're repeating ourselves, but it's so, so important.
Yeah.
So when you're done, and we talked about this before, make plans, to prepare for an audition. Make plans afterwards, because you have to go wash your car. You're going to go meet a friend for lunch. You're going to go home and just do laundry. When you are done, you say, thanks, and walk nice and cleanly out the door. Roxy, don't forget that bag. Don't forget
you don't want
that
people
bag.
to think you're pulling a Tiffany Haddish now.
Yep, exactly. Pick it up, leave. Explain to Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish used to leave her bag with her phone recording the conversations in the casting room so that she could then say she forgot it and then come in and grab it. And it's been a big point of controversy recently because she came out and said she did that. So now casting directors are looking for people leaving their bags to see if they're recording things.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not really great. I mean, I know we all want to know that. We all
There's
want
a
that
lot more
reassurance.
to it. It was more about she wasn't booking. She was trying to figure out why.
Oh, okay.
And she got a lot of answers as to why. So she's actually really grateful that she did, because it changed a lot of her performances, the things that they weren't telling her, but still a little controversial as to whether that's right or not.
But yeah, get your stuff, and here's what I want you to do with the sides. Throw them away. The nearest trash can don't do it in the lobby, or don't do it in the waiting room necessarily.
So you should have printed and brought your own sides.
Printed and brought it. Oh, very good point that I forgot on here. There's no auditioning on your phones, guys. No auditioning on iPads. It's the paper. You're going to hold the paper. Question that you asked me last week when we coached. You can hold, I believe, me personally, in holding the paper, even if you never look at it. It's great to be super, super familiar with the material.
I've heard that from 99% of people.
Yeah,
that you
hold
should
the
still
paper.
hold the paper.
Yeah, just to have it, just in case, because you might have to grab
Sean,
something.
are they there at the auditions, or do you print that beforehand?
You print that beforehand because you've been working on it in episode 1 of these 3,
Right.
preparing for an audition. So have those, but when you leave, as soon as you walk out of that casting room, the first trash can you see, throw them away. And people go, but what if I get a call back? You'll reprint them. But
Yeah.
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You're done. You've done your job. You feel good about what you did. The rest has nothing to do with you. You might be, and I've been told by my kind of story from the set was basically I was in a audition for Rob Reiner, who literally said, "You're the perfect guy. You've done the best read of anybody. You just don't look like the guy. You're playing some guy's brother, and you look nothing like him."
Nothing you can do.
Nothing I can do. Nothing I can do. Rob Reiner said it was the best actor that he read, but there's nothing I can do. So throw it away. Move on with your day. If you hear something great, if you don't.
What was that for, by the way, Sean?
That was for his movie Flipped. Very cute movie. So then move on with your life. And your agent, and if you have an agent, call them. Hey, this is how it went. I feel good about it. Great. That's it. Let it go. Let it go.
Frozen.
You'll be done. You're absolutely done. What does Frozen mean?
Let it go.
Let it go. Ooh, that was like you're in puberty or something.
Mine?
You went, go.
Go. That's what they do.
Oh, wait. Let it
go. Let it go.
I know, but the last time there was a little hitch that sounded like a.
Maybe
like
I'm in
a
puberty. You don't know.
You don't know me.
You don't know.
So
My
listen,
28-year-old puberty.
these are the tips that will really help you have a much better experience in the room. And I can't wait to bring in Russell, who literally has said that his nerves are gone after working with me.
That's crazy.
Because he feels prepared. He knows how to handle the room now, and it's really, really great. So these are the tips. Use them. They're helpful. And just remember, confidence, calm, and collaborate. Okay?
Love
I
that.
just made that up.
Confidence, calm,
and collaborate.
Cool, calm, collected.
Yeah. See, you just changed it. Don't
No,
change it.
That's the one. Cool, calm, collected. The C's.
Right. Confidence, calm, collaborate.
Yeah.
That's mine. All right. So, Roxy, where can we find you?
Everywhere at Roxy Striar.
And you can find me at That Guy SMW on Instagram. And you can find me at Sean Whalen Peeps. And as always, thank you for letting me be part of your journey.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.